gonna be on both right now. I'm just showing people around. We can't make it just on mine. Can we make it just on mine now?
Yeah, yeah. Go to job. Yeah, right there. And then it's gonna be, there should be something that shows full screen. No. Go to the left. See that left, yeah, right there.
Are we live?
Yeah, we live.
All right, we're live at the Boston People's Reparations Commission and United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen Reparations Day.
Where to put it exactly?
We got Brother Naheem, Brother Ali. We got some representatives from NCOBRA. We got Brother Jonathan, Brother Eli.
They want to keep it in the middle. No, well, we're using this.
All right, let's see. Let me flip my camera.
Yeah, we have a microphone on it.
Yeah. The camera's not on, so you don't have to put it.
Yeah,
Packed out debate. Getting started here.
You can leave it like that.
Shortly. Trying to get set up. All right. City council members, other distinguished members of the community in the city of Boston. We're here at the historic Roxbury part of Boston at the Roxbury Library. Let's see if I can find Sister Antonia. Getting our mic ready. Captain Peterson. And moderated by Mr. Charles Yancey. So, Brother Naheem, how y'all feeling?
Feeling good, getting ready to do what we do, just in person. That's all. That's all.
Okay.
Just in person.
Yeah. We here, bro.
Brother Ali.
Yes, sir.
See, let me see that note. Let's see what notes you got, man. But you about to kill it with them notes. All right. So,
Take the edge of the
I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's good. It's good on this end. I mean, I think it's good. It's good. It's just this part right here is a little folded or whatever. I think we're going to get started shortly. We're going to get started.
Issue we're going to discuss. We have 4 esteemed individuals who've been sacrificing for our community around the country and around the world for many, many years. And we want to honor their presence and listen to their discussion about reparations. I will introduce them very shortly. We want to thank Kevin Peterson and his staff for putting this together, and thank Kevin for giving me a call last week. But it is a very important issue, and it's not a new one. People have been discussing the issue of reparations for many, many decades and for a couple of centuries now. So we're not discussing anything that's particularly new. The difference is that we are taking the initiative to pose the questions and to seek some form of justice, some form of generational justice. So I'm glad you folks have been very patient. I am going to open this up very shortly. I just want to warm you up a little bit before we get started. Because again, I respect your time and your interest, and most of all, your love and commitment to this community. I know just for everyone in the audience, you may not remember me. Someone said it was Yankee fatigue back in the 10 years or so ago, but I'm back. And don't worry, I'm not running for office. I did ask my family to sacrifice 32 years, and part of the deal was that after I completed my work on the city council, I was going to devote my time and energies to them. So I violated that for just this day, but I look forward to getting back to the house and chauffeuring my wife around. We celebrated our 54th anniversary in January. So I know my wife's not being obvious, but I would not have been able to do anything without her support and the support of my 4 children and now 8 grandchildren. So, Kevin Peterson, are you close by? I'm still a young man. I tell each of my grandchildren, I am still a young man. Now you just got that right. So he's not on the program, but the chief organizer of this event is a young man by Reverend Kevin Peterson. And before we open things up, I hope you don't mind. He's kind of camera shy, unlike the speaker. So before we get started, do you mind just saying a couple of words, Kevin Peterson? Let's give the chief organizer a round of applause. Kevin Peterson, man, we sacrificed very for this community.
Give it up for Council Yancey! A real legend in our community, and a true legend. True, real legend. I want to thank him for being here. He brings so much authenticity and, as the Latins say, gravitas. You go to Boston, man? Gravitas, meaning and weight to this very important occasion, as well as you do. So I want to thank each of you for being here. We're going to start running a little bit behind, but that's the nature of things sometimes. We're going to start with opening prayer, and then we want everyone to rise for a rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Then we're going to have brief house rules, because we want to make sure that everyone knows or are expecting what this program is about. And it's mostly about listening to our debaters, our progressive debate around reparations. And then, I'm doing the house rules a little bit now, then we're going to go outside for a speak out for people who want to engage the debaters or want to speak from their heart and their mind, their soul around reparations generally. So again, thank you for coming, Reverend Dr. Sabina Martin.
Thank you, Kevin. and to Charles Yancey. Now, real quickly, I'm going back to 1988. In Atlanta, the 1988 Democratic Convention. We were there. And I was there as a form of resistance with a lot of other organizers and activists. Why? Our Governor Dukakis at that time was talking about his number one, he was on the presidential ticket now, mind you, and he promised that his number one priority was around the unhoused, our community. And did he live up to that? We shall see as we begin to look back at where we're at, why we are here. So I was there with our late Reverend Lowry from the Southern Leadership Conference and many other of my comrades and folks that were taking over abandoned buildings in all these communities across the country to call attention to the poor and unhoused and our community being gentrified, and we're not a part of it. So without further ado, I'm just going to say a few words of prayer, but I want to set the tone. And I also want to say real quickly to some of our community leaders and stakeholders and activists like myself that have been out here for years. We have Priscilla, we have Sarah, we have Dr. Campbell, y'all stand up when it comes. You have to do this one. So around what's been happening in this community. Now let's get our hearts and minds together. And we're not being churchy, because I know some of us have church hurt too that we need to heal from. So I'm very aware of that. I'm not churchy. I'm not churchy. But we got to tear some of these strongholds down in this community. It's been going on for far too long. Taking our homes, jailing our black brothers and sisters, killing us at will, taking our homes. You've been building your kingdom all over this land. Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. We want our housing back. We want it affordable and decent, livable. We want livable wages. We want our houses back that you done took from us for redlining for far too long. And raising the interest rates that we can't afford. Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, you tried to kill us. I should have never had to see, as a little girl during the social upheaval, the National Guard across the street of my home. I should have never had to witness my mother going toe to toe with the policemen because they were going to stone her. Everybody, I want you to think one mind, one body, one sound as we continue to get organized. As we tear his kingdom down, and as we fight the sacred fight. But you know they want to divide us. You know what they want to do on us? Philadelphia move. You know what they want to do to us. But we want to galvanize the community and organize this community and tear these strongholds down. We're not on the city plantation. We are free. And we need everybody to listen. Okay? Think about your ancestors. Think about King, Pops, and everybody else that went before us. Just think that it is our duty to love one another. It is our duty to organize. And it is our duty to turn to the neighbor, not like what the church said, but we want to turn to our neighbor. We're not being negative, but we're not here to beat each other up. Because we're coming here to take back what the devil has stole from us.
and may you all be blessed today. Thank you, Kevin, Claudia, and our esteemed panel. Be blessed. Let's organize. Power to the people.
Amen.
We'd like for everyone to stand.
So we're going to lift every voice and sing. I might bring Sabrina back up here. Start us off, lift every voice. We all know the lyrics.
Okay. You want to do it? All right.
Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let us bring song, love, and glory on. Sing a song full of the faith that the God has in us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of a new day beyond. Let us march on till victory is won. True to our native land.
I just want to welcome everybody. My name is Heather Cook. I am co-director for the Boston People's Reparations Commission. Welcome. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Yes, we need that energy. So welcome to the great debate, a progressive conversation, and that's what we're having today. So I just wanted to lay down the house rules really quickly so that we're all on the same page.
Amen.
We're going to be having the great debate / progressive conversation here. There won't be any questions or answers inside because we do have a time constraint, but we are going to take the questions outside. We do have a sign-up sheet up at the front where you can put your name down, we'll give you a number, and we'll make sure that you're able to either ask your question or give your comment in the order in which you signed your name. Does that make sense? Yeah. The other piece is, I just want to level set expectations by telling you that this is a conversation. We want to make sure that we're respectful. We're respectful of our panelists, respectful of one another, and respectful for the space that we're in. Because we want to remember that our ancestors were where they are or were so that we can be where we are right now. So we have to remember our purpose and what the assignment is. So I just want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll move on.
So the way we're going to proceed is that we have a list of 7 questions, and we will ask each of our presenters to address these questions. Each will be provided with 3 minutes to address these issues. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Cam Howard, who is a Chicago businessman and real estate investor and an internationally respected reparations activist. In 2014, he spoke at the 8th Pan-African Conference in Johannesburg, South Africa, on the new paradigm of reparations activism. In 2016, he was a key organizer for the United States visit of the United Nations Working Group of experts for people of African descent, and that proclaimed that the United States must engage in reparations. Mr. Kim has been a 16-year member of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, NCOBRA. In 2017, Kim was elected as the National Male Co-Chair, and in 2015, as a member of the National African American Reparations Commission, led a team to revise H.R. 40, the federal reparations bill, and I believe that was filed by Congressman Conyers at the time. The federal reparations bill. Cam recently authored a pamphlet laying the foundation for local reparations, a guide for providing national symmetry for local reparations efforts. And in June of 2020, Cam successfully led the work and to pass the City of Chicago Subcommittee on Reparations. Next, we will hear from Willard Lutt, who served as in COBRA in a number of positions over the years. Most recently as male co-chair. Lutt has been a senior administrator for the Southern New Hampshire University as an adjunct college professor. He was honored with the 2012 New Hampshire Martin Luther King Award and served 2 terms on the Manchester Police Commission. He takes part in the Boston People's Reparations Commission's debate citing repair before harm. And COBRA believes that harm must be acknowledged before repair can begin. He often cites an African proverb that reads, "The axe forgets, but the tree remembers." Our third presenter is Naheem Way. His introduction is somewhat lengthened, but I will try to abbreviate it. Naheem Way is CEO, President, and co-founder of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen and Be the Power, Inc., a political education and advocacy group. Naheem has experience working for nonprofit organizations. He has done local community work in the city of Athens, Georgia, which includes food and clothing drives for the underserved community. Naheem has also done lectures on civics and the history of Athens, Georgia Public Library. I'm going to ask that when each of these individuals speak, that they elaborate a little bit on their background, so I do more justice than what I've done today. The third person is Charles Harrison, who is the National Secretary, Director of History and Research, and co-founder of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, which is a National Secretary and Director of History and Research and co-founder of Be the Power Incorporated. Charles has attended Bergen Community College, where he studied political science and anthropology. Charles has also co-wrote Allegiance, Birthright, and Race in America with Duke University Professor William Sandy Darity. Again, I'm going to ask Charles to elaborate. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to ask each of the presenters to give us 3 minutes on the following question. What would your organization say is the first and primary requirement for one to receive reparations due to the Atlantic slave trade?
So my name is Cam Howard. I am the Executive Director of Reparations United.
Could you stand, please?
Stand.
There's not a requirement to stand.
Yeah, we will stand.
We can move her closer.
We want to look you in your face, please.
Can y'all?
I can stand.
Thank you.
I'm saying in some circles that I'm an elder, so I have to respect the elders.
I am an elder.
So I have to respect the elders because I want respect as well. But let me start off by saying reparations is not just simply for the crime of enslavement, the crimes that happened during the period of enslavement. In this country, there were 3 periods of crimes in which we attempt to seek redress. The first period is the period from 1619, colonial period in this country, up to 1865, when there was a civil war, to end officially chattel enslavement. So that's a period of criminality on which we seek redress because there's continued impact on current living Black people from those crimes that were committed. Second period of crime, and this is what I think is one of the first requirements, that we must understand exactly what we're seeking and why we're seeking it, and the manner in which we're seeking it. So the second period of crime that happened in this country to those of us who are descendants of Africans who were enslaved or descendants of Black indigenous who were here was a period of apartheid. They called that period Jim Crow segregation, but it was apartheid. If you look on the international definitions, that was apartheid. It's forced separation, separate development, separate conditions, separate resources, separate everything, back the force of the state. And all type of crimes were committed, subgroups of crimes were committed during that period. And that period lasted until the end of, officially the end of the juror segregation, with the establishment of the Civil Rights Bill, the Voting Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Law. Those 3 laws are said to have officially ended Jim Crow apartheid in this country. And then we have this current period, which a whole host of crimes are also being committed against us as a people. And I call this period the neo-apartheid period. Neo meaning new, apartheid because there's still separate development. You cannot have all these acute disparities in every area of life if there wasn't separate development. If there wasn't policy that stated that Black people, or however we choose to define ourselves, Black Americans, African Americans, American descendants of enslavement, freedmen, foundational Black Americans, however we choose to define ourselves, we wouldn't be in a situation where you have all these disparities in every area of life if it wasn't for separate development. Policy that established these disparities. And so this period is also a period in which we seek reparations. So primary to any struggle for reparations, we must know that there were 3 periods of crimes, that each period of crime has an effect on current living Black people, and it will continue to affect us for generations unless there's targeted resources, which is what reparations is directed to us now and ongoing into next and future generations. So I would end with that.
We both need to answer that. So do we both need to answer that,
I'll see you when she go out.
Thank you, Brother Kim. My name is Willard Beck. I'm here today representing the New England chapter of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. And we think one of the first things that we have to do is have a clear understanding of what we're talking about when we say reparations. Reparations actually means repair. And when we talk about repair, one of the things that we have to do is match the remedy to the injury. So, NCOBRA looks at the issue of reparations from African chattel enslavement, and it recognizes that a fundamental injury that African people suffered then and even now is the dehumanization of the African personality in the European imagination. So one of the 5 injury areas that NCOBRA has identified is peoplehood, nationhood. Our ancestors who were brought here were cut off, disconnected, and removed from their own culture and history, and were treated as property. Another injury area is in the area of education. Many times what we've been subjected to, and I see this a lot, folk walking around saying they got a PhD, is they end up having absorbed all this misinformation and disinformation, that results in them working to support the system that oppresses us. Another injury area is health, both mental health and physical health. We talk about transgenerational trauma that's passed on from parent to child because of these social determinants of health and epigenetic impacts. Also, we look at the issue of criminal punishment, and we consider criminal punishment an injury area. We don't say criminal justice, because the both law enforcement and this criminal punishment system wasn't put together to serve and protect people of African descent. It was put together to command and control. And we see that, and we see outcomes from that. And finally, there's the issue of poverty and wealth. And we all know the challenges from both segregation, discrimination, exploitation, and plunder that our community has suffered as a result of not only African chattel enslavement, but the legacy and the vestiges of that same thing. So one of the things we do is look at the 5 remedies that the international community offers, which is restitution, compensation. Compensation is necessary, but it's insufficient to provide us with the full repair that we must have as a result of our injuries. Also, there's the remedy of cessation and a guarantee of non-repeat, their satisfaction and health. So those are the areas that we feel both serve as the repair that's required for reparations. And when we say who deserves that, well, we match the remedy to the injury.
What about our dead?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question, please?
I said, what about our dead? No, not your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're operating with one mic here. So the question is, what would your organization say is the first and primary requirement for one to receive reparations due to the Atlantic slave trade?
All right, greetings, everybody. My name is Naheem Way. I am president and co-founder of United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. We like to style ourselves as the future of the civil rights movement. Thank you, Boston, for having us, first and foremost. Our organization's primary focus is for those persons that descend from the emancipated, those that were enslaved in slave labor camps in this country. That is where the focus starts. Our focus starts in 1776, when the United States of America becomes a country, not in 1619 during the colonial period, where we would have to deal with entities that no longer exist. So our organization focuses on getting it right. That is the main area of what we do. We've shared information with people like Nicole Hannah-Jones, who has went on MSNBC and spoke about freedmen status. Just recently, we see Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., sharing a clip from somebody that's in our nationwide network, a brother named Marcel Dixon, speaking to the status of the freedmen, letting it be known that reparations cannot be about race. It has to be predicated upon our status. Muhammad Ali spoke about when he was in Louisville, for instance, and 2 Africans went in before him, and he said they were so black they was purple. And these are the words of Muhammad Ali. He said, they served them. He said, so surely they're gonna serve me. And they told him, I'm sorry, we don't serve Negroes. And he said, well, we don't eat Negroes either. Can I get 2 cheeseburgers and some milkshakes, et cetera, et cetera? And they would not serve that man. So we see that this is deeper than a race issue. This is a class issue. And this is the perspective that the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen take. So I hope I answered the question.
Peace. I have to second everything my brother just said. I am Charles, as I was introduced, but I took Shahada as a Muslim. So I go by the name Ali. Like Muhammad was Cassius, he became Ali, I'm Ali. So I just wanted to clarify that, but just to say what my brother just said is absolutely correct. We focus on the freedmen family in the United States, thus the name, the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, because for us, we look at it from the perspective of the Reconstruction era is where we need to focus in terms of moving forward with any kind of remedial justice claims. So when we did our research, what we found out was that this period of history was so significant and so important in terms of moving forward with remedial justice claims that we started to really study it. And what we found was that Congress, by way of the 13th Amendment, Section 2, has the authority to eradicate all the badges and incidents of slavery, not just slavery itself. The problem is Congress has never fully identified what those things are. So part of our job is educating the people to the importance of the Reconstruction period, the importance of the freedmen and what they did in terms of bringing about the Reconstruction era amendments, the laws, etc., and how that translates to us today in terms of the failures of Reconstruction and how that contributes to what we identify as the wealth gap, et cetera, et cetera. And so for us, it is very much about the American freedmen families, those of us who descend from the emancipated in the United States, as well as the Reconstruction period and those particular laws that came out of that era, because Congress has the power from there to do what needs to be done.
Thank you very much. Boston is one of many cities that has already brought the issue of reparations to the forefront across the country in recent years. Yet, the word reparations has not been uttered at all during the recent presidential campaign, with possible exceptions. Do you believe America is ready for a national reparations package for those who were affected by the transatlantic slave trade? And I would also like you to comment on who, as a third question, who do you believe qualifies to be a recipient of reparations? So we'll start in the reverse order, starting with Ali.
Yes. Well, to be honest with the answer, I'd have to modify the question a little bit. We're not really concerned with the transatlantic slave trade like that. What we're concerned with us here right now, and we're concerned with how, like I said, how the failures of Reconstruction contribute to our conditions today. What should we be doing to ensure that the United States does by us what they should have done truly since the Reconstruction period, and really before that, during 1776, when they had the opportunity to do right by our people, especially in light of the fact that their cornerstone document says that they stood for liberty and justice for all men. That didn't translate for all of our families. And so they had a long time to do what's right by our families from the founding of this nation. So our job is to educate the people and advocate for them to do what's right by our families, not because we're Africans, because we're not Africans. We're not. We're our own group of people. And this is something that has to be understood and accepted by folks. It's an issue. It's an issue because a lot of people are Afrocentric, and their thing is to focus on the Africanity of our ancestry. But the fact of the matter is we're here, we're our own people, we have our own culture, our own customs, we have our own particular plight and history in this country. And so that's what we need to deal with. And so the bottom line is for us, it is very much about the American freedmen families. I have to stress that. I have to stress that it's about the people who were emancipated from slavery and their descendants. We, being the descendants, are the people who are truly the heirs of what should have been given to our ancestors from the time of Reconstruction. That's the simple answer.
All right, so we're speaking about reparations not being uttered during any presidential campaign. I watched both the DNC and RNC conventions, and neither party, and we know one party, they don't care about us getting reparations, and that's the Republican. But the other party, the Democratic Party, does not care about us receiving reparations either, which is why we did not hear them utter the word reparations on the stage. In fact, Van Jones, after the convention, was on CNN and got up on CNN and said what Kamala Harris would represent. Reparations for the past? No. I have several articles. I have all of this stuff right here in front of me where leadership of the Democratic Party wish that the issue of reparations talk would just go away. It's hurting their candidacy because America doesn't want to see us repaired. So this is beyond political party. The name of our first organization is called Be the Power. And our motto at Be the Power is don't just fight the power, become the power, and then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And that's what we're doing right now. We're imploring those of you who are of American freedmen stock, and those of you who are allies and might not be of freedmen stock, but see our plight and want to do something about it, to become the politicians, to become the power, to become the mayors, to become the city councilman, to become the U.S. House rep, to become the U.S. senator, to become the governor, to become the power in this country. And then we don't have to worry about if any presidential candidate or campaign is speaking about issues that we can speak for ourselves from our own bully pulpits. And that's what I'm on. I grew up in the hood, y'all, so I can see most of, I can see some of my people here from the hood. I know my people when I see them, so I know I can talk a little candy. I'm not so professional with it, but I try my best a little bit. But that's just my response to that question. Thank you.
So the question is, looking at the current presidential race, nobody's mentioned reparations. Is America ready? And who should be eligible? You know, I think one of the things that we have to remember is that we're living in a country that from its very beginning, even before it began, I think I mentioned something earlier, I said something I call the dehumanization of the African personality, you know, in the European imagination that allowed these Europeans to treat African people as property, and continues from then till today to treat us as less than. And we see in their founding documents, their Constitution and Declaration of Independence, where they talked about freedom, we were enslaved by the same folk that was talking about freedom. So when we look at what the Congress has done, when we look at Field Order 15, when we look at any of these statements that the institutions of America have produced, we know we can't rely on that. You know, one of the things when we talk about reparations, we're talking about repair. So we're talking about bringing resources from the outside into our community for repair. But we also got to talk about internal reparations, which is healing within our community. We got to heal ourselves. Just like when you break a bone and the doctor put a splint on your arm, he don't heal the bone. You knit that bone back together through your own healing. And we got to do the same thing in our community. So, you know, one of the things we cannot depend on somebody else to decide when it's time for us to do and to get what we need. So I agree with my brothers that we have to make that determination about what we do. Now, we do that by using all the means at hand, whether that's voting, whether that's, you know, economic development in our communities, you know, whatever it is that we need to do, but we got to do it together. We got to figure out how do we work together. We ain't got to all do the same thing. We ain't even got to all think about it the same way, but we got to work together. That's what we have to do, and that's how we bring it.
Two questions. The first one was, is America ready? And the second part was what?
Who should be eligible?
Who should be eligible?
The second question has to do with who will be eligible to receive reparations. We didn't address the issue whether reparation has to be voluntary or some other form of support.
I'll deal with the, is America ready, and the way it was phrased the first time, eligibility. And I apologize, I was trying to search for this new data that I put a chart together. We had a presentation on strategy a couple of weeks ago, and I created this chart based on this new data that just came out. Liberation Ventures did a poll in regards to receptivity to a reparations commission on the federal level. And I had numbers from a Huffington Post poll in 2019 that asked the same question. It asked it based on race, Blacks' receptivity or opposition to a reparations commission, whites' receptivity or opposition to reparations commission, Democrats' receptivity or opposition to reparations commission, Republicans' receptivity or opposition to reparations commission to various degrees. So I was able to juxtapose the numbers from 2019 to the current numbers of 2024. And across every area, you had Blacks increase in against humanity, apartheid, which is called Jim Crow in this country, but it was officially apartheid, or crimes against humanity. That changed the whole trajectory of the movement. No longer were we advocating, no longer do we need to advocate, that was done then. What we need to do now is enforce our human right to be repaired. These were crimes against humanity. There's a legal obligation on behalf of the states that committed these crimes to engage in redress. It's not whether or not they should, or if there's a choice. Under international law, and America has signed on to these international treaties, they're obligated to repair. It's our job to enforce them to do what they have to do in regards to the injuries and the effects that we continue to live with as a result of the crimes that they committed. So everything that I do is based on that position that crimes have been committed. International crimes of the highest order have been committed against African people, or descendants of African people, or descendants of enslaved Africans, or descendants of enslaved individuals. However we want to classify ourselves and categorize ourselves. I'm not opposed to any category, any identification mark or symbol that any of us use. We're all talking about the same people, and we're also talking about the same crimes that have been committed and the same impact and injury that we suffer from today. So for me, reparations is so important because as we've seen that I've inherited impact and injury from the crimes committed against my great-grandparents and ancestors. And I know that my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great generations to come will inherit the injury from not only my ancestors, but from me as well. And so we have to engage in this issue of reparations if we want to end the passing down of this inherited injury and become whole and healed and a repaired people. So that's, for me, that's the importance of reparations.
Why is reparations important? Again, I want to say that one of the things that NCOBRA does, it takes time to make sure that we all talking about the same thing, that we having a conversation and talking with and not just at each other. And part of that means understanding or agreeing on the definition of reparations. Reparations means repair. So when we talk about repair, reparations is important to repair the injuries that we have suffered as a people, as a group, based on our group identity. And when we start, thinking about, the fact is that we have to match the injury to the remedy. Now, we're here in Boston, and one of the things, I'm familiar with David Walker's appeal. One of the things he says is no, it's nothing wrong, no more wrong for a thirsty man to take a drink of water than it is for a slave to kill his enslaver.
That's right.
So we right here in Boston. But one of the things about being here in Boston is that Boston also has a tradition of bragging about the blue bloods, the folk that's been here that was never enslaved, always been free. So if we're going to use the criteria that you have to have been enslaved to receive reparations, what happens to those people? Yeah, so they did receive injuries. They weren't enslaved, but they received injuries, and so we want to match the remedy to the injury, whatever that injury might be. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important. Reparations is so important, is also because in addition to the transgenerational injuries and harms, both physical and mental harms that we suffer, there's also the issue when we start talking, I think part of the question was, should compensation be involved in something? Yeah, there's also the fact that through plunder, through exploitation, just gangsterism, but Europeans against African people. People, I've talked to folk and they say, well, we got to get the money and we can set up our own community and then everything's going to be okay. I said, oh yeah, okay. You mean like it was okay in, what was it, in Florida, you know, when they had, yeah, Rosewood in Florida, when they set their own community up, it was okay in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they set their own community up. The thing is that we demand full repair. Compensation is necessary, but by itself is insufficient to provide us with the repair that's required.
This is a debate. Some people came to see a debate, so I just want to spice things up just a little bit, if y'all don't mind. Just a little bit. We don't support HR 40. I just want to be clear. We don't support PSA. We don't support HR 40. That's what it was. we don't support HR 40. We've examined the legislation years ago, and we give honors to John Conyers and those members of NARC and NCOBRA for trying to do something at that time, right? This debate is about, can we get it done right? What do we have to do to make sure that we get remedial justice, reparations for the American freedmen today? When you look at Evanston, Illinois' reparations program, it was based off of the model that is HR 40, the legislation that is HR 40. They are being sued right now. Why? Because the Supreme Court ruled last year in the case on affirmative action that you cannot do race-based legislation. You cannot do race-based policies. You cannot do race-based programs. So unlike my opponents, my esteemed opponents, we believe in eliminating any vestiges of any component of race. We say that those of us have a specific status in this country. When you fight for America, you go through a tenure with the U.S. military, you get a status, right? It's called veteran status. For those of you who have been in the military, you understand what veteran status is. Some of you can go into a restaurant and get 15% off. You could get a 10% discount off your cell phone bill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Indians in this country, the Native Americans, they have a specific status. They have the Bureau of Indian Affairs set up for them. We had a Freedmen's Bureau that was destroyed. We had a Freedmen's Bank that was looted and destroyed. We are for bringing those things back. Why? Not because we are of the black race. That is too broad. It includes everybody, and it's never going to pass. That's why the Evanston reparations program is going to fail. We've read the legislation. We broke the legislation down, and we let it be known. My good brother and I, Cam Howard, had a debate face-to-face last year on this very topic, and I told him they're coming for Evanston, and they're going to shut Evanston down. This thing has to be crafted in a way that we remove the racial component out of it, because that's the way this country set it up. They set it up so that you don't have to say whiteness, but you get to use whiteness. But if you say black or try to use blackness, they say no, 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 no. But those radical Republicans during the Reconstruction era, they gave us the out. And believe it or not, in that Supreme Court ruling last year, it was Clarence Thomas of all people that gave the breakdown. My organization, we submitted amicus. It was too late, but we were told by one of the attorneys that was on the case to submit it anyway, because you never know if they'll read it or not. And based on
Wow. Brother. Yeah. So listen, he said everything. He said everything. But look, I want to get a little bit technical. Why is it that we can't use race? What is the problem with using race? Racial classifications, according to the Supreme Court, are considered suspect classifications that trigger what they call strict scrutiny. It's a doctrine of the Supreme Court where it's considered the highest judicial scrutiny that the court will offer. So when they talk about you can't do race-based legislation, policy, race-based discrimination, there is some discrimination that's acceptable, right? We all know that. They discriminate when they hire people. They discriminate based on GPAs when they want certain students in the school, right? So certain aspects of discrimination is acceptable. Race-based discrimination is not. And we have to think about it even from the other side. Do we want white people saying, we're just going to do white this and white that, right? This is something that we don't want. So we can't be a part of the perpetuation of the things that we actually know are wrong. The fact of the matter is, it's right to not use race. We have a way forward. This is what my brother was just saying. And the way forward has already been laid out by this government during the Reconstruction era. They said very specifically, these people need a Freedmen's Bureau, not because they're Negroes, right, but because they are men who have been for generations despoiled of their rights. So this is what it's about. Like Cam is saying, yeah, it's about the fact that we have been deprived of our rights as true Americans. I know we keep saying Africans, but we are the truest of Americans that there are. Nobody in this country has invested in this country to the degree that we have. So we are just as much or more Americans than anybody else. And I hate the fact that people want to otherize us when that should not be happening. We should claim this thing as ours because there's a lot invested here. So the fact of the matter is this country owes us, but it owes a specific class of so-called blacks, Negroes, colors, African Americans, not all blacks or colored people or whatever you want to call it. And as far as it's concerned of the issue of racism, there are a lot of different people that can claim racism. This is why we can't use that. Asians can claim that they were affected by racism. Latinos can claim the same thing. Italians can claim the same thing. Do you know there was a time when Italians was treated like shit? Some of them were lynched down in Louisiana, right? So this is the thing we can't do. We can't do that because Middle Easterners can claim the same thing, racism. This can't be based on racism. It has to be based on identifying the actual heirs, the heirs of the people who they were supposed to be repairing during the Reconstruction period, and identify how those harms have hurt those specific families from that time period.
That's right. That's right.
Mr. Yancey, I got number 10 question I don't want to do, but I just want to share some information where you can find information. When we get outside talking, the air is gonna blow it away. In 1641, the Book of Liberty wrote the laws for slavery here in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, we're gonna look it up. Thank you. Thank you. 1641.
Body of Liberty.
Bodies of Liberty. That's right.
Slave laws that was written here. In the book that's called The Message,
You have to be outside.
volume number 10, that deals with all the different laws that was transpired.
That's right.
You know where to look.
That's right, Auntie. That's right, Auntie. That's right. That you. That's right.
But listen, y'all don't know the Bodies of Liberty is a body of laws that actually was put together in Massachusetts, where the clergy were able to codify the enslavement of Africans and Native Americans.
So if anybody's interested in asking any questions, please sign up with my tia. She'll give you a card, and we'll be calling people out by their number so that we're making sure that we're asking people in the order in which they've signed up for it. So I'm going to pass the mic.
Each of you have humbled me over the years. And I just want to say that my assumption is that if you are here this afternoon, You have more than demonstrated your sense of history and purpose. I want to thank our 4 participants. I know this could have gone on for another 5 hours. The wealth of information that they provided to us is invaluable, and perhaps they've inspired us to stay focused. Again, the city of Boston, I'm going to talk about Boston again. This is where I was born. And incidentally, to the elder on the panel, I have a couple of children who are in their 50s already. But we must remember that Boston produced a Phyllis Wheatley, a Christmas Alex, a David Walker, a Frederick Douglass, a W.B. Du Bois, a William Bumble Trotter, and yes, we claim Malcolm X as well as so many others who have stood up. And we also claim a young man who gave his life at the tender age of 39. Martin Luther King Jr. met Coretta Scott right here in the city of Boston. So I have the utmost respect and love for everyone who came here this evening to deal with a very controversial issue. We're not going to resolve everything today, but at least we have 4 individuals who travel from around the country to inspire us to keep on keeping on. Come on, John! We appreciate them and for the work that they do and the work that they will do. And again, I want to thank this organization for giving this opportunity to come out of retirement for a couple of minutes.
Can I make an announcement real quick?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We're going to allow announcements, and perhaps, I don't know if we can do this in 30 seconds, for each of these individuals to give us the last 30 seconds of wisdom. We'll make announcements that time.
I just wanted to quickly jump in. We'll pass the mic really quickly, but we have to be mindful of the time. We have to exit the library. So again, just really quickly, we're going to transition outside where the DJ is going to be at. That's where we're going to be doing the Q&A. And as well, I just wanted to do also an announcement that Antonia and United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen is hosting a mixer at the Mix in Dorchester near Ashmont. Thank you, Antonia. So I'll pass the mic really quickly.
I just want to thank the organizers for this very important conversation, progressive conversation on the issue of legality, on who should receive reparations. I can't stress enough that there are 4 elements to all about every reparations question in this country that we are addressing. Those 4 elements are crime, harms, race, and lineage. Can't get away from any of it. When it comes to a legal foundation, they're proposing that the lineage base is one that will withstand constitutional scrutiny. It's a theory at this point. We don't know if it'll be true. It may be true, but it's a theory. What we do know will be true at this particular time is that the harm-based approach has withstood at this particular point. I think they should have, in Evanston, should have been a crime and harm component based. And I told them that they chose to just focus on harm. They distributed over $4 million to it's the only reparations remedy in the country at this particular time. The lineage issue is theoretical. I hope it's a second matter in which we can secure our redress, but at this particular time, it's only theoretical. We can't get around race in any of it. We can't focus on race when it comes to our legal standard. We can't get around race. And just let me just leave with that. Race, lineage, we can't get around lineage. We can't get around crime, and we can't get around harm. All 4 elements exist in every aspect of our struggle for repair.
Indeed.
I want to thank everyone for inviting me out. Just a couple of things. One, NCOBRA says that we got to work for full repair. Reparations is not about a broken labor contract. it's about a broken human covenant. So we gotta work for full repair, and I appreciate the other panelists up here. I wanna say that we're not opponents. You know, we're not opponents. There's more than one way to do what needs to be done, and we need to do them all. Thank you.
I just want to thank the organizers. I would like to thank the city of Boston. I want to give a big shout out to my sister Antonia Edwards. She's amazing. Let's give it up for my sister Antonia. I want her to run for mayor or something like that, governor, maybe U.S. Senate. I don't city council, something. But again, thank you. This was amazing, man. I look forward to doing it again. I'll be up here as much as my sister needs me, myself, my organization. And if you want to build with us and continue the conversation, I know we're going outside, but we're having something at the mix. Everybody I was at the event, y'all get a plate on United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. So come through, come build with us. Let's continue this Q&A. Peace.
I want to do something different. I want my auntie to give some words of wisdom for me. Can you do it for me?
When we deal with our past, we have people that have names, they have birth, and they have death. Here in this place where we call Boston, Massachusetts, is the first place to legalize slavery. We have books that call laws. In 1641, the body of liberty was the laws that was written here. It was called the Mass General Court. Today, we call it the Mass General Laws, MGL. And we still live under those laws when we go to court. Okay. Black folks, we've always had midwives. They know who kid was born, and they knew who that kid was born from. In the South End where I'm from, when Mass General and Boston Medical opened up, the first black hospital that was on East Springfield Street was called Plymouth Mass. They took those records and they integrated them into their archives because they said now we could go to their hospital. You live under the laws today. In 2024, that was established in 1641. When my grandparents was children, my grandmother was born in 1900. Her father was born in 1836. His mother was born in 1822. We know our family. We have names. They have our names. Every elder that I knew when I came to Boston is dead and gone. Every child that grew up here and got an education wherever they went to school at, that's where they're at. In the Boston South End, we have 132 cultures. They're benefiting off the slaves that died, that they don't even know. And those are here today, you have a name because you were born. And when you die, you have a death certificate. And our death certificate will tell us where we're interned, cremated, or where we're buried. Look those laws up. You're not going to get anything unless you can go to the white man and say, this is the law you did. This is what we want, reparations.
Thank you. I'll see you folks outside. It's a fantastic audience. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Brother, I think great job, man. Great, man. Great breakdown, brother.
I love you. Y'all the bomb. Oh my God. Y'all the bomb.
Great job. Taught me something. Let me just say you said that Reconstruction, men who were spoiled of their rights, right? That's a crying out. Men who were crying.
Man, I don't know how long our mic was muted. Sorry, guys, but we're headed outside, and don't know. We may continue to stream. So take a quick break, about 15 minutes, and we'll hop back on. So.
All set?
We'll come back on for part 2.
I'll keep this up.
Okay.
Instead of pack it up.